Folks, independent journalist Georgia Fort, one of the folks pleading not guilty to federal charges connected to an anti-ICE protest at a Minnesota church where an ICE agency official serves as a pastor. This is the video when she was being arrested by federal authorities. Well, on Tuesday, guys, roll the video, please. On Tuesday, she returned to court in St. Paul for a brief arraignment to enter a plea in the case that brought charges of conspiracy against the rights of religious freedom at a place of worship that took place against 9 people following the January 18th demonstration at City's Church. Now, after her arraignment, Georgia made it known that this didn't begin with her. She joins us right now. Georgia, glad to have you on the show. You, of course, been here before, so it's not your first time. This is absolutely, we had the video, again, of the arrest, and you were live, and you were talking to folks. It was early in the morning. And what was strange also was to have DEA executing this when they deal with drug enforcement. I don't understand what that was all about. And so just explain to folks how your life has been turned upside down in the almost month since this protest.
Yeah, absolutely. And Roland, thank you so much for having me back. We have the same questions about why DEA was at our home. What their agency had to do with my arrest is still unclear. But nonetheless, more than 2 dozen agents were at my home. And this was about 6 a.m. My children, I have 3 children, 7, 8, and 17, who were all home at the time that this happened. And they did inform us that they were aware that I had children. And so the video you're looking at right now, that's actually my mother who went outside to get a photo of the warrant to send to my attorney to make sure that it was legitimate. But you asked how our life has been turned around since all of this. I think the thing that is the hardest, Roland, is as a mother of 3, seeing my children suffer, having nightmares, having anxiety. My 8-year-old daughter, she does competitive gymnastics and she's terrified to go to practice. She is afraid that ICE is going to come arrest her. And you got to think that here in Minnesota, these are children who have seen images of Liam Ramos plastered everywhere. And so it is ingrained in their minds that it is a possibility that they too could be apprehended by these federal agents. And so trying to rationalize that with your children after they've seen their mother be arrested by federal agents simply for doing her job, I think that has been the most difficult thing. But I'm so grateful. My husband has been, just so solid through all of this and just a constant support for the entire family.
On that, so again, for folks who don't know, walk us through. A lot of things were happening. Uh, and as we all know, when people are doing something, when there's an activity, when there's an action, press are notified. I mean, I remember when that right-wing nut Dr. Field was embedded with ICE agents and he was broadcasting, which meant that he was aware beforehand what was going on. To be embedded means that you're embedded. We could think about when journalists were embedded with the United States military in Iraq. That means that in a conversation before, where are they going to be? What are the precautions? So this idea that it's strange that journalists would be aware of a protest before it happens, and if you're allowed to cover it, that happens all the time.
Well, and you know this, as Black journalists, we are viewed differently. I would also say that I think people need to do some research on protesting that's happened in Minnesota when you look back at the aftermath of George Floyd, the aftermath of Dante Wright, which, Roland, you allowed me to come on your show and do a lot of on the ground reporting after some of these things, right? And so there were a lot of movements that happened. One of them being Operation Pull Up, which was a long time strategy used by local organizers to take protesting to the doorstep of decision makers. And when people think back to when George Floyd was killed, how many days went by before Derek Chauvin was charged? and what happened in Minnesota in between those times. And Operation Pull Up was one of the methods that was used by organizers. In fact, it led protesters and journalists to the doorstep of the president of the police union, who at that time was Bob Kroll. After Dante Wright, how many days went by before Kimberly Potter was charged? And so Operation Pull Up was something that happened, that took the same strategy to the doorstep of the county attorney. And so that is, really what this action was. And so when you look back historically and how that has happened, there's actually a lot of details about those actions that are not made public. And so I think that's probably all that I can share at this time, just based on, the nature of the case that is against me. But these are all facts that are available. But unfortunately, Roland, and I'm sure you wouldn't be surprised by my assessment about this, mainstream media is just not doing this type of digging. And I think that is why independent Black media, like your platform, like with what I do, is so essential, because there's a lot of nuance, there's a lot of complexities that mainstream media, they just don't even take the time to cover. And I think that is one of the things that bothers me the most. Is normally that's what I would be doing. I would be reaching out to come on your platform to talk about what's happening here on the ground in Minnesota. But now that I am being charged by the federal government, it really prohibits me from reporting on one of the most historic cases in Minnesota.
What it reminds me of, and I told the audience this on the show, during World War One, Black newspapers made a decision to really refrain from covering the racism in the armed forces. It was sort of like, we are one. They realized that mistake. And so in World War II, the Pittsburgh Courier launched the Double V campaign: victory at home, victory abroad, targeting fascism, saying that if our Black troops are going to be fighting fascism in Italy, in Germany, well, then we need to be ending fascism in the United States. And the federal government, the War Department of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, literally threatened Chicago Defender, John Sinstack, and other Black newspapers, threatened them with treason because they dared to report about the discrimination impacting Black troops, saying that that was causing unrest among the ranks. And they were like, well, how about you end the racism? It never happened, but the threat was there and it was real. So essentially, what they're doing is, the chilling effect is, we're going to go after you to stop you from reporting on what the federal government is doing with ICE and these raids. It's very similar to what the government did against Black newspapers in the 40s.
Yeah. And again, right? What other network are you getting this context and history on? You're not. And so I just want to encourage your viewers, the people who are watching right now, continue to support Roland's network. We have to have independent networks that go beyond just the surface, that go beyond just what's currently in the news cycle, but who will take the time to go back and contextualize that what is happening to myself and even Don Lemon, as two Black independent journalists, right? This is not new. The attack on the press did not start with my arrest. I honestly have been covering all year long different attacks on members of the press. I feel like I was one of the first people who helped the story of Mario Gravera go national. He's an independent journalist who is based out of Atlanta, that was reporting on ICE arrests there. And the federal government arrested him, held him in jail for more than 100 days. And despite the fact that his attorney said he had a proper legal work visa to be there, he ended up getting deported. And so these things are not new, to your point. Historically, there has been tactics to attack specifically members of the Black press, right? And so I just really hope that this is a turning point in our country, especially in our community where we understand the importance of doubling down on supporting independent Black media networks, just like Black Star Network, just like the work that I'm doing, and where we can really start to build our own infrastructure, so that folks have dependable networks where they can turn to alternatives, because it's only getting worse. It's only exacerbating when you see how these networks are being bought up, corporate media being bought up, exodus of employees,
Yep.
600 members of the staff at Washington Post are out, and obviously, this has just been a progression. When I saw every single Pentagon press member decide to turn in their badge because of how unethical the new policies were, I mean, that was alarming. When I saw Jimmy Kimmel be pulled, I mean, that was alarming. When I saw 60 Minutes didn't air the segment on ICE, there's been so many different warnings. And now we're at the stage where journalists will not only be arrested, but be prosecuted by the federal government. I even pointed back to 2020 when the CNN reporter Omar was arrested
Yep.
live on television, right? And I knew that day, Roland, if they'll arrest a reporter who is working for CNN while he is broadcasting live on television with a microphone in his hand that has a CNN mic flag, if they'll do that to him, I knew that they wouldn't hesitate to arrest me. And here we are. And so this has been a progression. And I think the biggest question that I have today, Roland, is what is it really going to take? And not just for people to protect our rights as members of the press, but as you've been reporting so intentionally all year long, there has been a series of violations against the general public's rights, both American citizens and those who are not American citizens. We've seen due process violations, constitutional violations, violations of the First Amendment for members of the press. What is it going to take for our rights to actually be enforced, for there to be consequences when our rights are violated?
Indeed, indeed. Now, let folks know, because you're also doing your independent reporting there, the vehicle but through which you're doing that and how people can assist providing resources. Because, look, I keep saying on this show, ain't no millionaires and billionaires who are cutting us folk checks. It's really the 1 and 5 and 10 and 20 and 30 and $50 from regular, ordinary people who are making this thing happen.
That's right. Folks can head over to my website, georgiafort.com. There's a link there to support. There's also a page called Protect the Press where we've just launched, basically a movement around protecting the press. We are the lifeline for the truth. We are the last pillar, I really feel, for our democracy. And so I'm just hoping that this country and even people around the world will continue to stand with us and stand up to protect the press.
Georgia Fort, we appreciate it. Keep fighting, and then we'll keep doing our part and do your part as well. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Roland.
All right, folks, go to georgiafort.com, GeorgiaFort.com. Folks,